India will be hosting England from later this week for a five-test series. This is the first time India is hosting five test matches since 2016, when the opponents were, you guessed it, England. As per the FTP, henceforth all India England and India Australia test series will be five tests only. This will thus be the only set of contests outside of the Ashes which will have at least five tests. So when India travels later this year to Australia, they will play five tests, just like they had when they had last toured England. Cricinfo says that winning a series in India is even tougher than winning a ODI World Cup or a Test Championship title. Indeed, facts show that. But of late, India has lost a test to both England and Australia at home. What will they do this time around? Stay along as we preview the India England series. So, our podcast is available on Spotify. Just search From the Pavilion End. We are also available on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and on YouTube Podcast. Please show your love by subscribing and following the podcast. And please like the episode and share it with your friends. England has had two tours to India since winning in 2012. In 2016, the Alistair Cook led side lost 4-0. And in 2021, the Joe Root led side won the first test, but then lost 3-1. This was under severe COVID, and India was under severe stress to climb up the WTC rankings while trying to balance the team without an injured Ravi Jadeja. After losing the test, India had to radically change the nature of the pitches. But more than the pitches, it was Akshar Patel who changed the course of the series. He debuted in the second test and he took almost 50% of all the English wickets from there on end. Um, Joe Root was in the middle of the purplest of purple patch and he hit 218 in the first Chennai test, leading the English win. Rohit Sharma almost matched his series output and he had a sublime 161 in the second Chennai test. Ravi Ashwin also hit a home 100 in that match. And then Rishabh Pant played probably the most maverick innings, uppercutting and reverse pulling Anderson to reach 100 in the second Ahmedabad test. In between, there was the two-day pink ball test in Ahmedabad, where teams barely got out of 150, and Joe Root took 5 wickets. On the bowling front, Ashwin, as usual, dominated with 32 wickets in 4 tests, including one 10 for. And the best from England was Jack Leach with 18 wickets. But Joe Root, like I said, had a 5 wicket haul. And then subsequently, India traveled to England the same summer and actually led 2-1 at the end of 4 tests, only for the fifth test to be postponed due to a COVID outbreak. And that fifth test was played in 2022 when England was dazzling under the new Bazball revolution. And they made a mincemeat of a target of 378 run target in just 76 overs. So this is the first time that England with that Bazball revolution will be playing in India. And now let's take a look at the teams. Let's analyze the England team first. Amongst the batters, there is Johnny Bairstow, Zach Crawley, Ben Foakes, Joe Root, Harry Brook, Ben Duckett, Ollie Pope. Then amongst the all-rounders, we have Ben Stokes, Rehan Ahmed. Amongst the bowlers, we have James Anderson, Tom Hartley, Ollie Robinson, Mark Wood, Gus Atkinson, Jack Leach, and Shoaib Bashir. Also, unfortunately, Harry Brook withdrew from the series because of personal reasons today, and Dan Lawrence has been named as his replacement, although it might be possible that Brook will join the series later on. The numbers in yellow have been added against each member just to showcase how many tests these players have played in India, and for the batters, how many runs they have scored at what average, and for the bowlers, how many wickets they have taken at what average. So Johnny Bairstow has played 8 tests, scored 389 runs at the average of 29.9 without scoring any 100. Zach Crawley, 2 tests and 67 run at the rate 16.75. Ben Fowkes, 3 tests, total 78 runs at an average of 15.6. Joe Root, 10 tests, 952 runs at the average of 50 and 200s. The only batter who has an 100 in India. Harry Brook has not played in India. Ben Duckett played 2 tests in 2016, scored 18 runs at an average of 6. Ollie Pope played 4 tests in 2021, scored 153 runs at an average of 19.12. Dan Lawrence played 3 tests in the same series, scored 149 runs at an average of 24.8. Amongst the all-rounders, Ben Stokes also has a 100 and a 5 for. In his 9 tests, he has scored overall 548 runs at an average of 32.23 and taken 13 wickets at an average of 39. Rehan Ahmed has not played any tests in India. So has Mark Wood and Ollie Robinson. Neither of them have played any tests in India. Tom Hartley and Shoaib Bashir and Gus Atkinson are debutants in Test cricket. That leaves James Anderson and Jack Leach. Anderson has played 13 tests, taken 34 wickets at an average of 29 with no 5-wicket hauls. And Jack Leach in his 4 tests took 18 wickets at an average of 28.7 without taking any 5-wicket haul. So one can easily understand that this England team is exceptionally light in terms of both test experience and the experience of playing in India. It is only 9 out of the 16 members who have played in India, and of them only Joe Root, Ben Stokes, James Anderson and Johnny Bairstow have actually made more than one tour. In fact, outside of Jack Leach, there are other 3 spinners on the tour, Rehan Ahmed, Tom Hartley and Shoaib Bashir, have bowled just about 6,000 balls in first-class cricket. I'm not talking test cricket, just first-class cricket, 6,000 balls and taken a combined tally of 74 wickets. Even on the pace front, as I said, they have a debutant and 2 bowlers who have never bowled a ball in India. If you just compare this to the 2012 tourists, Anderson and Monty were on their 3rd tour, and even Graeme Swann and Stuart Broad had made their debut in the 2008 series and was just having their 2nd trip in 2012. All of them had taken wickets and had established a decent record in India, having drawn in 2006 and lost a very close series in 2008. On the batting front too, only Root's numbers are good, but if you peel away the 3 Chennai tests, his overall runs falls to 561 runs at an average of 40, which is really a mixed bag. Both Crawley and Duckett did not play all their tests in the series that they came to India. They were not considered good enough. And Ollie Pope, even though he played all 4 tests, was considered quite a bunny of Ravichandran Ashwin. In fact, the duo of Bairstow and Stokes, who have an average of 29.9 and 32.23 despite more than 3 trips to India, sum up the general English batting in the last decade. In fact, Ravi Ashwin, who played all of those tests, has a far more runs and at a far greater average of 40, with more 50-plus scores than Bairstow and Stokes combined. That left Harry Brook, the player with the highest average amongst current batsmen worldwide, and one of only 2 batsmen currently with a batting average over 60. Unfortunately, as he is unavailable right now, has withdrawn himself from the Test series, it is Dan Lawrence who played 3 test matches in 2021, who would be coming here. He has had a good county season, scoring more than 800 runs with 300s. But at an international stage, he's still yet to find his feet and averages just under 30 with no hundreds. One can say clearly that the openers are set with Crawley and Duckett. The number 3 position will be of critical nature. In 2021, both Dan Lawrence and Johnny Bairstow occupied number 3, and the maximum that any one of them could score in an innings was 28, and that's across 8 innings. This time around, expect number 3 to be filled by Pope. Root and Stokes will follow, and then Bairstow will come in replacing Brook, and the wicketkeeper will be Ben Foakes. Lawrence will be the spare batter. Amongst bowlers, Leach will play all 5 matches. Anderson will alternate with Robinson and Atkinson with Wood. The final bowler will have to be a spinner given the conditions. And of all the 3 spinners, Rehan Ahmed is the only one with a test match to his name. And is also the youngest England test debutant in this century. So he is, of course, favored. But England may be influenced by the success of Todd Murphy, who took 14 wickets in the 4 tests last year as a debutant, and try to replicate that example with Shoaib Bashir. But a tall off spinner with the fastest action doesn't mean that he will succeed. And even Murphy suffered in the second, third, and fourth tests, being just 7 for 229. From the perspective of bowling combination, England may opt for 3 pacers instead of picking one of these inexperienced spinners, keeping Leach as the only spinner. But if they do that, that would be playing right into the Indian plan. Now let's look at the Indian lineup, which is more fixed. So we have Rohit Sharma, Shreyas Iyer, Shikhar Bharat, Dhruv Jurel, and KL Rahul are the 3 wicketkeepers chosen. Yashasvi Jaiswal, Virat Kohli, Shubman Gill. The 3 all-rounders are Ravi Ashwin, Ravi Jadeja, and Akshar Patel. And the bowlers are Jasprit Bumrah, Avesh Khan, Mohammad Siraj, Mukesh Kumar, Kuldeep Yadav. This is a straightforward kind of a team. There are 5 batsmen, 3 wicketkeepers, 2 spinners who will of course play, spinning all-rounders will of course play, 4 pace bowlers, so 2 of them will play, and probably there will be a fight between Akshar and Kuldeep. The numbers in yellow is basically the numbers that these Indian players have playing against England, both in India as well as in England. So anytime that they have faced these bowlers or anytime that they have faced these batsmen, what has been their record? Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, and Virat Kohli all have played many tests. Rohit has played 9 tests, scoring 747 runs with 2 centuries. Rahul has played 12 tests with 847 runs at 38.5 and 3 centuries. Kohli has played 28 tests and scored 1,991 runs at an average of 42.4 and 5 centuries. Shubman Gill in 5 tests, Shreyas Iyer in 1 test have not scored 100. And Jurel and Bharat have never played. Ravi Ashwin in 19 tests against England has scored 970 runs at an average of 37.3 with 1 century. He has also taken 88 wickets at an average of 28.59. This is across India and in England. He's taken 6 5-wicket hauls and 1 10-wicket haul. It's an insane numbers with Ravi Jadeja. 16 tests, 799 runs at an average of 31.96 with 1 century. 51 wickets at an average of 35.37. Again, 1 5-fer and 1 10-fer. Akshar Patel, he played those 3 tests in 2021. So he has taken 27 wickets at an average of 10.6 with 4 5-wicket hauls and 1 10-wicket haul. And he has scored 55 runs. Bumrah has played 10 tests and taken 41 wickets at an average of 24.6. Mohammad Siraj has played 7 tests, taking 21 wickets at an average of 31.5. Kuldeep has played 2 tests, taking 2 wickets at 42.5. And Mukesh and Avesh have not played any matches against England. So if we look at the Indian team, Rohit and Jaiswal will open. Gill will have another chance at number 3. And Kohli at 4, Iyer at 5. Jadeja will be at 6 and Ashwin at 7. Bumrah and Siraj will be the pacers. Decision will have to be taken on 2 spots only. There are 3 wicket keepers chosen unusually for a home series, but without Rishabh Pant, who will probably come back during the IPL, and Ishan Kishan, who is not the flavor of the month, India will have to choose from between KL Rahul, who kept in South Africa, Srikhar Bharat, who kept versus Australia in the last home series, and the newcomer Dhruv Jurel from Rajasthan, who has not played international cricket in any format. So if the best wicketkeeper, pure keeper is needed, then Bharat is your number 1 pick. And he will probably bat behind Jadeja. If the better batsman is needed, then KL Rahul will play. And he will play above Jadeja. If a combination of the second best keeper and second best batsman is required, then Dhruv Jurel will be picked. And he may bat behind Jadeja too. Given that Bharat has largely underperformed with the India A outings, even in the last innings of this recent India A match against the England Lions, he scored a brilliant century on the final 4th day, but then somehow didn't do the enterprising thing of taking the India A team to a victory, which should have surely put him as the number 1 candidate for this slot. There is a Rahul in there. The team may go with him. But memories of him fluffing that chance of Markram in the second South Africa test is still too raw. Most likely, India team would go with Rahul unless the spinners veto that. Personally, I would say that they need to go for Jurel, as he brings probably the second best of both worlds. And he also played the South Africa A bowlers with aplomb, has a double century in first-class cricket already. He's 22 years old, and he could be a long-term understudy to Rishabh Pant when Pant is back. For the 5th bowler, and India will play 5 bowlers, India need to consider between Akshar and Kuldeep. Akshar was outstanding versus England last time round, but then managed only 3 wickets against Australia. Kuldeep, on the other hand, had a major role in winning a match on a drab Chattogram pitch, taking 5 wickets in the first innings. He was rewarded for that by being the spinner to bowl last and bowl the least in the second innings, and then getting dropped for the second test altogether for Jaydev Unadkat, as India played 3 pacers on a ranked turner. Kuldeep deserves another go. But most likely, India will start off in Hyderabad with the batting security of Akshar, and then if he is not successful, they will replace him with Kuldeep. Now let's look at the venues and the pitches that we expect there. We start the series with the first test at Hyderabad, which is the capital of Telangana state. The Rajiv Gandhi International Stadium hosted New Zealand twice, Australia once, and Bangladesh once, and West Indies was the last team to visit. India has won 4 test matches here, 2 of them by an innings, and the third by 10 wickets, and a fourth by 208 runs. So it's a stronghold of the Indian team. Only the first test was drawn as Brendan McCullum hit 225 runs as an opener in the third innings, which is still the highest individual score in this ground. In these 4 matches, Ashwin has taken 27 wickets and Jadeja 15. Ashwin has taken 5 wickets 3 times, with a best figure of 6 for 31 at the ground. Among pacers, Umesh Yadav has taken 15 wickets in 3 tests with a 6 for. Ashwin has a 12-wicket haul too, and Umesh a 10-wicket haul in this round. Among foreigners, Jason Holder and Danny Vittori has taken a 5 for. If you consider the domestic matches, no Ranji matches have been played here recently or before the test match. So there has been quite a lot of time that will be available to the curators to prepare the pitch. So what do we expect of the pitch? Expect a dry pitch, lots of cracks, maybe some grass holding it together. Definitely a bat first wicket. There will be something in it for the fast bowlers as well, like Umesh has shown in previous matches, but spin will play the big part. That is where England needs to come up with proper spinners who would be able to play a role. There might be a bit an up and down from the fast bowlers as well, as this will deteriorate as the game goes on, and most likely this will be a 3 to 4 day finish. Then we go on to the second test match, which is at the east coast of Vishakhapatnam or Vizag, which is a port city in Andhra Pradesh. The Dr. Y.S. Rajshekhara Stadium has hosted 2 test matches, the last of which was against South Africa. But the first test was against England back in 2016. Incidentally, that was the 50th test match of both Virat Kohli and Joe Root together. There have been 7 centuries, of which one was a double. Mayank Agarwal scored 215 versus South Africa. But it was Rohit Sharma who hit 2 centuries in 2 innings versus South Africa, who actually has a great record at this ground. Virat also came close to hitting 2 centuries when he hit 167-81 against England in 2016. Amongst visitors, Dean Elgar and Quinton de Kock have scored hundreds in this ground. Amongst bowlers, both Shami and Ashwin have taken 5 wickets, with Ashwin taking it twice. He also has the best bowling figures of 7 for 145 versus South Africa. Amongst visitors, Broad and Rashid have taken 4 wicket hauls. Again, no Ranji matches have been played here recently, so there have been enough time for the curators to prepare the pitch. Like the previous 2 times that the test match has been played here, it will largely be a spinning track, but it will aid batting team for the first 2 days and rapidly disintegrating by the 4th and 5th days. It will not be a dust bowl, as both the matches went to 5 days earlier in 2016 and 2018, and expect a similar this time around. Considering that both of those first 2 matches are played at grounds where Ravi Ashwin has a brilliant record, expect that India would like to commit a 2-0 lead by the end of the second test. And that is because the third test will be happening on the western side of India at Rajkot. Rajkot's Khanderi Cricket Stadium is the home of run scoring. Chiteshwar Pujara, Ravindra Jadeja, all of these people consider that as their home ground, and it promises to be the best batting pitch of the series. Only 2 tests have been hosted at this ground, and like Vizag, England also played in Rajkot in 2016 and had the upper hand of a batting draw. The second match too had a benign pitch where India racked up 649 runs with 3 individual centuries. Prithvi Shaw on debut, Jadeja with his maiden one, and that these 2 sandwiched a Kohli century. West Indies were too poor to show any resistance, losing by an innings and 272 runs in that match. Even in the last Ranji match that was played here, Jharkhand and Saurashtra had Pujara's 9th first-class double ton. But despite that, Jharkhand batted out over 100 overs on the 4th day for a dull draw. There have been 9 centuries scored here, none more than Kohli's 139. Amongst visitors, 4 Englishmen have hit hundreds here. Stokes, Moeen, Root have centuries, but the highest was from Alistair Cook, who had made 130. Predictably, only 1 5-wicket haul has been registered here, and that by Kuldeep Yadav. Ashwin, Rashid and Bishu managed 4-wicket hauls and innings once. This might be the match where India may try Kuldeep Yadav again if the pitch is batting friendly. And this pitch may afford some turn on the 4th day, but there are odds-on chance that this again would end up in a draw. And then we go to the 4th test on the eastern side of India, which is at Ranchi. The Jharkhand State Cricket Association Stadium has also only seen 2 tests. In 2017, Australia drew here on the back of centuries from Steve Smith and Glenn Maxwell, and the 5th day blockathon from Sean Marsh and Pete Hanscom, who together played more than 60 overs to salvage a score of 63 for 4 after India had taken a 150-run lead on the back of epic 7th wicket partnership of 200 runs between Pujara and Riddhiman Saha. In 2019, India easily dispatched South Africa by an innings and 200 runs. Rohit hit a double ton and Ajinkya Rahane scored also a century. On the bowling front, Ravi Jadeja is the only bowler to take a 5-wicket haul here. And Ranchi is a blot for Ashwin, as having bowled over 500 overs in 2 different tests. he has taken only 3 wickets. So chance for him to make amends this time round. Amongst visitors, Pat Cummins and George Linde of South Africa remain the two bowlers to take 4 wickets in an innings. There will be one Ranji match played before the start of this test match, which means that we will get some idea about what kind of pitch is being prepared. However, from experience, one can say that the pitch will be very dry, but it won't crumble from day one. The abrasiveness will also help the reverse seamers. Run scoring will be easiest on the first day and maybe part of second day, after which it will continually get difficult for batsmen. If England has kept the series alive till this point, then they have a wonderful opportunity in the fifth test, which happens at the northern part of India in Dharamshala, which is in Himachal Pradesh, has held only one test before in 2017. The series was online and India beat Australia on the back of Kuldeep Yadav replacing Virat Kohli and India playing with 5 bowlers and also doing a star ton. Steve Smith scored the only ton of that match and Nathan Lyon also took the only 5 for. But India won by 8 wickets on the back of a second innings collapse to 137 all out, engineered by both the pacers and the spinners. This is a regular venue for Himachal Pradesh, who will have played 4 Ranji matches already before the test. In the first of these matches, Himachal Pradesh won by 88 runs as all 40 wickets fell in around 240 overs, with medium pacers taking more than 80% of all the wickets. So you can understand that England will go in with an advantage if the series is alive. There will be a tinge of grass on the pitch, but overall it could be a dry wicket with maybe a few spots. It's a new ball pitch for the quicks. Spinners will find that it is dry underneath. There could be disconcerting turn from the third day onwards if remains that kind of a dry wicket. Overall, if I look at it, test number 1 and 2 is definitely a spinner's wicket. Number 3 is a batting wicket. 4 again also a batting wicket, largely batting wicket. And 5 could be pace bowlers wicket. So England will have to play very calculatedly and very strategically to keep this series alive or go into a position where they can take the upper hand. India would consider themselves firmly favorite given the choice of venues. Let's now look at the strategy that the teams have already taken or that they might take in this series. England's first plan will be to attack the non-Bumrah pacer and also try to hit the spinners off their length like they did so successfully versus Pakistan and Australia. But Indian spinners are quite a few notch ahead of those, especially at least in India. If England does follow Bazball, that is trying to play at over 4 runs and over, to the bowling of a combination of, let's say, Bumrah, Siraj, Ashwin, Jadeja, and whoever is the fifth bowler, there will most likely be a few 3-day tests. So there is a stat. Since R. Ashwin started playing, England have escaped a loss in India only 5 times out of 13 matches. The lowest that their innings ran in terms of overs in those 5 matches is 145 overs in Nagpur in 2012 when it was a draw. But they made up for that by batting 154 overs in the second innings. On all other occasions, it went over 160 overs or beyond. That is vital because the Indian spinners are that much potent that if you don't tire them out by keeping them on for over 2 days, they will inevitably kill you. But England has barely managed to bat 100 overs, let alone 140, since Ben Stokes took over the captaincy. So they clearly lack a plan B, which may involve batting for time. And that is the only way in which England has avoided defeat in the last decade in India. This is thus the first time that Stokes will be actually thinking if there should be a plan B. Although with the personnel at his team, it is very difficult to imagine that the team will be able to play 160 overs. Indian strategy should be very clear. They far outweigh the visitors in terms of batting and bowling skills. All they have to ensure is that the pitches do not even out that contest. A dust bowl which threatens to make part-time spinners into world beaters will erode India's advantage. Neither should a batting beauty be offered. A normal Indian pitch like in 2016 series would show up the lack of the experience of the English batters while still giving the three Indian spinners enough ammunition to skid away. Let them be turned from the first day itself, but don't make it prodigious or don't make the bounce uneven. Let a spinner still require flight, loop, and pace variations to fool the batsman, and therein the Indian spinners will be much superior. Also, the wicketkeeper's decision is crucial. Spinners won't enjoy bowling if they know the keeper is not confident. A lot will thus depend on how KL Rahul can garner the confidence of India's spinners in the preparatory camps. If the spinners veto it, only then Bharat or Jurel may come into contention. And since batting shouldn't be a lottery, one would not need the protection of Aksar's batting and thus prefer playing with Kuldeep. Playing Jurel and Kuldeep would probably be the smartest move, in my opinion. Of the regular batsmen, Shubman Gill and Shreyas Iyer would be under pressure. Gill has promised a lot, but not delivered at test level. When you are throwing your hat in the ring for a spot where the two previous permanent occupants were one Rahul Dravid and Cheteshwar Pujara, the bar is super high. Iyer is a killer of spinners, but England have quite a few express bowlers who can embarrass his technique. And KL Rahul would like to return as a pure batter. And don't forget that Cheteshwar Pujara is still churning out double centuries in the Ranji Trophy. So number 3 and number 5 position haven't been the same since Pujara and Rishabh Pant occupied them. Right now, Gill and Iyer are the incumbents and they need to be given a long rope. However, poor returns against England in the initial stages may see Pujara and Rahul finishing as number 3 and number 5 for India as the series ends. And now for my prediction. It has been more than 11 years since India lost a test series at home. A period during which Australia have lost 3 at home, England 2, New Zealand 2, and South Africa 4. And I'm just talking about the 4 best test playing nations of this time. But it's not just about the winning series at home. India do not even have a drawn series at home. And only one series has even gone into the final test while the series was alive. That was against Australia in 16 and 17. Further, in more than 11 years, India have lost just 3 home tests, twice to Australia and once to England. This England team is not a patch on the 2011 ones who were the last to win a series in India. They don't have a batsman who can blunt Indian spinners except Joe Root. And to even win one match, Root will have to score a century or a double century and then needs a support cast to prop him up. But even if they do that, who will take the wickets? Remember, in the first test in 2021, Dom Bess took 4 for 76 in the first innings of the first test. That opened up India's middle order up for a collapse, which Anderson and Archer then ran through. One of the unheralded spinners of the English squad this time round will have to be a Dom Bess of that first innings. Seamers may have a role to play in Dharamshala, and England may win that and draw if there is a batting wicket at Rajkot. Best case may be weather serving them in Hyderabad, drawing in Vizag narrowly, and a batting draw at Rajkot, and then hope for a 1-1. India would like to make it 5-0, weather permitting. If you ask me, I would say 4-0 with weather playing spoil sport for one of those matches. What is your prediction? Do write to us and let us know. It's been a pleasure bringing this episode to you. If you like this episode, please like and share it. Please also subscribe or follow our podcast.